Hello! By the end of this video, we will try out which one was probably the very first musical instrument humans ever invented or discovered. Let's take a noisy little trip through time, across continents and civilizations, to see how people turned sticks, strings, and sometimes even bones into the music. Well, some sort of music in our early days. Some of it may sound beautiful, some of it sounds like a goose with sore throat issues, but hey, if it makes noise and someone called it music, we'll roll with it. First, let's set some ground rules. What exactly counts as a musical instrument? Well, it has to be more than just banging your hand on a tree trunk, even though technically that makes a sound. Historians usually define an instrument as an object deliberately modified or created to produce organized sound. So, while your belly drum doesn't qualify, a carved flute or a stretched string tied to a stick absolutely does. With that in mind, let's explore. In ancient Mesopotamia, around 3000 BCE, the lyre made its debut. This little string instrument looked like a harp's tiny cousin and was beloved by the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. It wasn't just for fun either. The lyre had deep cultural meaning, used in ceremonies, myths, and royal courts. Imagine kings sipping their ancient beer while someone plucked away on a lyre in the corner, setting the vibe. And those strings, they weren't fancy steel or nylon. They were often made from twisted animal gut. Yes, literal intestines. So, somewhere in the afterlife, sheep and goats might still be complaining. Seriously? First, you eat me, then you turn my guts into a soundtrack. Travel east, and you stumble into China, where the Gukind has a history stretching back over 3,000 years. This long, elegant zither wasn't just about making music hit, was about philosophy, meditation, and even diplomacy. Scholars believed playing the Gukind could harmonize the soul with the universe. Pretty lofty goals for what is basically 7 strings on a plank. But hey, it worked! Meanwhile, in Egypt, archaeologists discovered flutes made from reeds dating back to around 2500 BC. Picture this! The Nile flowing, pyramids rising, and someone standing by the riverbanks tootling on a flute while cows and crocodiles looked unimpressed. These flutes are among the earliest wind instruments we know, and they show that humans have always loved turning nature's raw materials into tunes. Jump over to India, and the cider's ancestors trace back thousands of years. To modern eyes, the sitar looks like the cockpit of a spaceship disguised as a guitar. It has strings everywhere, knobs, sympathetic resonators, and a neck that could double as a ladder. It's complex, mesmerizing, and no, surprised, deeply tied to rituals and spiritual practices. The people didn't just play music for entertainment. It was a way to connect with the divine. Even today, the sitar's twangy resonance instantly transports you into a mystical headspace. Let's not forget Europe, where the lute took shape around the Middle Ages. The instrument itself probably came from the Middle East originally, but in Europe, it became the ultimate symbol of sophistication. If you were a noble, you wanted a lute at your banquet. Nothing said I am cultured like strumming one while wearing a hat with a feather in it. Bonus points if you winked dramatically while doing so. Across the seas in the Americas, indigenous peoples had drums long before European contact. Made from wood and animal skins, these drums were far more than percussion. They were central to ceremonies, storytelling, and communication. The steady beat connected communities, carried messages, and echoed the heartbeat of the earth itself. In Africa, too, drums and percussion instruments, like the djem, go back centuries, originating with the people of West Africa. The djem wasn't just for music, but for rituals, healing, and social bonding. In fact, some legends say the drum sound carries spiritual power every beat holding. Centuries of culture. But here's where it gets quirky. The didgeridoo from Australia. This ancient wind instrument, carved from eucalyptus branches, hollowed out by termites, has been played by Aboriginal Australians for at least 1,500 years. Imagine the surprise of the first person who thought, this tree sounds interesting. Let's blow into it. Suddenly, out came that iconic drone that still mesmerizes listeners today. And now, we fast forward, really, forward to modern times, where the newest instrument isn't carved from bone or wood, but built from lines of code. Artificial intelligence is now composing music, generating melodies, and even performing pieces that mimic human creativity. Think about how our ancestors banged rocks together, and now we have robots spitting out symphonies. Some call it innovation, some call it creepy. But either way, AI is definitely the latest step in the story of musical instruments. So, what about the very first? That's why we're here, right? What was the true pioneer of all instruments? Archaeologists believe it's the flute, specifically the Davia Babe flute, discovered in Slovenia, carved from the femur of a cave bear over 40,000 years ago. Yes! While hunting massive beasts, early humans still took time to make music. That bone flute is older than farming, older than the wheel, older even than written language, which means before we were builders, scribes, or bakers, we were musicians. And that's the punchline. Music is older than civilization itself. From bone flutes in caves to AI on computers, humans have always searched for ways to turn chaos into melody. Instruments, whether carved, stretched, strung, or coded, are proof that making music isn't just a habit in our DNA.